Hello, my name is Matt.
And my name's Jamie.
We are the
Shade
Tree
Tree
Chefs. The Shade Tree Chefs.
Shade Tree Chefs.
Shade Tree Chefs.
Say that 10 times fast.
Ooh, I dare you.
I know I can't, and I will not be doing that.
All right, so people might ask, what is the Shade Tree Chefs? Jamie, what is Shade Tree Chefs?
When I hear the term Shade Tree Chefs, obviously it goes back to Shade Tree Mechanic. What is a Shade Tree Mechanic?
Right, it's someone who likes to tinker around but isn't necessarily trained or even good at it.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say they're good at it. They can't make a living off of it, or they don't want to make a living off of it.
True.
Now, I know I won't be wanting to make a living off of it. I think I'm doing this more for fun than anything. I really wouldn't want to do this for a living.
I'm up and down on that. Obviously, where I'm at, it's a far cry off. You know, me personally, we come up with the meat. We're gonna cook burgers, and then you look for that side, and you just have the family. What do? You grab the canned beans and maybe a potato salad from the deli, you know, and it's really that evolving. But even going to the grilling itself, different techniques, right? I know I'm guilty. You find one recipe that works, so what do? You use it over and over because you've tested.
It definitely becomes your crutch. You rely on it too much. You definitely have to go back to it because you can't pull something else out of your sleeve without exploring further.
Well, especially if you're having guests over, right? You want to put your best foot forward in those times.
Yeah, I definitely use my family as the exploration. If I am going to be hosting a party or being the chef or the griller or the person cooking the food, I'm definitely not trying something new. I did that once, and I didn't botch it, but I definitely prolonged the cook, and people were eating a little bit later than they would have liked.
Yeah, especially when smoking. I mean, that's some stuff that as much as you think it's a science, it really isn't. You know, you're really trusting on that meat.
It's more than the meat. There's too many variables with smoking and grilling. You have smoke. You have the amount of wind, temperature, what kind of coals you're using. You're talking. There's just so many variables, and how many times you pop open that lid, which obviously you want to keep that to a minimum.
Right. So, some of the things that I think we're really looking to get out of doing this podcast of Shade Tree Chefs is I think some of that exploration, finding out what other people do, whether it's through people messaging us, guest hosts, or bringing guests onto the show. I know we've talked a lot about even trying to get some professional chefs.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be our long-term goal. But for the time being, I know we have a lot of people out there that would not have a problem talking to us about their fails and their attempts and their secrets and for sure stuff that they have made over and over and over. Again, same thing as us, Shade Tree Chefs. It's not just us. That's you guys out there just setting up shop out in the backyard, grabbing a beer and lighting up the coals.
Definitely. And we have, we're part of several groups on social media, grilling groups. Why don't you talk about the one that we started?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been a part of a few groups like Matt said. We started a group in 2018 called WI Brew and Barbecue. It was actually started off as MKE Brew and Barbecue, but then I quickly realized how many people that wanted to join that were not in the Milwaukee area, and it would have been kind of off-putting if I had people that were from Green Bay or from any other part of the state that were part of the Milwaukee group. So within actually the first couple of weeks, I changed the name of the group to WI Brew and Barbecue, and I wouldn't say we had stellar success, but we definitely have a fair amount of members, and it's really nice to kind of go online, go on Facebook, and take a look and see what are people making this week, and especially with the holidays. You have 4th of July, you have Memorial Day. Hey, what's everyone making this holiday? Are you making ribs? Are you going to make ribs like you did last year? Are you going to try a new recipe?
Right, definitely. And you get people asking questions. Hey, I'm going to try this. But you mentioned that, not overly successful. I know it's growing a little bit more. in the recent past, but what was it in 2019? We actually had a get together.
We did. Yeah, we wanted to get some of the people that we've met before and some of the people that we have not met before together and just kind of find an open space where we can bring a grill, bring a recipe and bring something to make. And we did that. So we definitely we got together as we put together a kind of a small list of, hey, I'm bringing this, you're bringing that.
Oh
Let's
yeah, I
set
mean
it
it
up.
was I mean it was all over the board. I mean I made pizza.
You made pizza. I made what was it? Loaded tater tots, I believe.
Right,
So-
right, and then I believe Chad did rib. Yeah, it was ribs.
Chad made some ribs. I believe his wife made a dessert, like an apple recipe. So we definitely covered all of our bases, and we had a full platter. Now, if you're thinking like gourmet, this was definitely gourmet. And sure, some of the stuff was a little bit off because, yeah, all of us are shade tree chefs. We're not trained. We don't go to school for this, but we definitely have kind of honed our skills over the years. Just going out in the backyard with a nice cold beer and, summer day and trying something out. And it definitely worked out, and we definitely want to do it again. But we definitely, keep saying definitely, we had kind of a hiccup here these past couple of years with the whole
Yeah.
pandemic. It definitely slowed us down as far as meeting people and getting together. But this year, next year, we definitely want to bring it back up and maybe do another meet and greet.
Yeah, that definitely is something that we should plan, and obviously we're gonna hopefully grow our audience and the participation just through doing this.
And even if we only have a couple of people show up, so we only had a couple of people the first time, which definitely was fine. We had me, Matt, Chad, a couple of our wives, and I think that was it. But
To be fair, when we say a couple of our wives, we each only have one.
that was unfair of me to say. I hope my wife's not listening.
Nothing
to this.
against people who have multiple, although we might question your sanity. At least I
Yeah.
know I do.
Yeah, I don't know if I could juggle that much. Anyways, going forward, but yeah, so we definitely want to go and we want to do another get together this year. We talked about it in the past. I believe last year we talked about it, but things never fell through. So if anybody has any ideas or if anybody wants to host or has a suggestion for a nice place to do it, we don't necessarily want to pay or rent out anywhere. It's more of a backyard type of setup right now. And for me, it's a lot easier just to say, yeah, let's go over to so-and-so's house, especially if it's nearby. It's a lot easier to do it that way. Pack up the back, back of your car, your SUV, whatever. Throw a grill in there, throw some charcoal in there, and bring your ingredients over and just plan to make a day out of it.
Yeah, the other thing, we're forgetting a big part of our group, which would be the beer.
Yeah, beer, and I don't want to
I guess spirits or
beer and spirits. So being born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, both of us, we definitely have, I wouldn't say a alcoholic background or a tendency thereof, but we definitely want to talk about the many beers and spirits that are out there.
and there's new breweries. I mean, just coming out all the time. I mean,
For sure.
you get the brew pubs, stuff like that. So I mean, I don't think you can go more than a couple of months without something else opening up, or one of our favorite breweries coming out with a new brew. So I think it's cool to talk about that. I personally enjoy trying different beers. Of course, we all kind of get in our ruts of finding that go-to style,
For sure.
but definitely something else we can share.
One of the big things for me, so when I first had my first beer and I first started, I guess, drinking beers and alcohols, was I stuck with the classic stuffs, your Millers and Pabst and all the cheaper beers that you can buy in 30 packs at your local Pick and Save or grocery store. It definitely took me a few years to kind of get out of my comfort zone and try new things. So
question for you.
sure.
What was that gateway beer? What was that one beer you tried maybe that's all there was
Yeah,
that opened your eyes.
I definitely, I think it was, I think it was a spotted cow.
Spotted Cow.
It
that's
might have
good
been a
beer.
spotted cow.
Myself, it was Liney's Red.
Liney's Red is a pretty good beer too.
Don't make it anymore.
No,
No more.
no, no, and that's sad. Seeing the death of a beer, especially one that you have grown fond of or started out with, is sad. Because it, how are you going to scratch that itch? Obviously, we've gone through now. We're talking about beer, but now we just keep on trying new things until we find that next love.
Yes, I mean, and hopefully this grows even broader than here in the Milwaukee or Wisconsin area. I know when I travel to another state, which I'm not going to say is terribly often, that's one of the first things I do. I want to go to a local store and see what kind of local beer is there, something that I can't get at home.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. I've gone on a couple trips myself for work, and I would go to the local grocery store and check out their aisles and see what they have. And if it says, for example, if I'm in Tennessee, if I see something that says it's made down in Tennessee, that's the first thing I'm going to buy. I'm going to ignore nationwide brands.
Definitely. I mean, if you can get it at home, what's for me, I see it as, hey, I'm going on vacation, right? I'm going out of state to a place I've never been, and I take it quite literally with my beers too. I don't want to drink what I can get at home. I'm
No.
away from home.
Yeah, your taste buds should go on vacation too. So cool. Yeah, so beer. We talked about smoking and grilling, and we have, I wouldn't say big plans, but we have big plans for our time here on this podcast. We want to kind of talk about brewing, yeah, that brings up another topic, is brewing beer.
Brewing beer.
I've brewed beer in the past.
We've
I don't know if
definitely
you've-
talked about brewing beer quite a bit,
Yeah.
but we just really haven't pulled that trigger.
No, and you bought me kind of a starter kit for
And
birthday
that
or
showed you
something
how
like
much
that.
I knew about that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was, hey, this is sure maybe a simpler recipe or whatnot, but gear that you could continue to use, and it wasn't. But it was. I think it was still neat to see it. Even though you made it,
Yeah.
I made you send me pictures daily of what it
Yeah,
looked
yeah,
like,
for sure.
to kind of see that transformation.
Just watching it kind of ferment there in my room, in a dark room, and seeing all the bubbles and the process of it was kind of interesting.
And the best news of it all is we drank it, and we did not die.
We didn't die, for sure.
I didn't get sick.
And it was also not the worst beer I've ever had. So I'd say that's a success. So
Yeah, I made, what did it make, 2 gallons?
I think there was a little 3-galloner.
3 gallons, so
Yeah. I think it was a total batch of 5 gallons, but in the end, I think it kind of boiled out to like 3 gallons, thereabouts. So, yeah, we should definitely look at kind of going with a larger setup. Maybe not full grain, and I think that's like the most advanced, where we got many steps of like all day brewing, but at least
I think that's a good point. Is any of you out here listening? What are your tips? What do you need to start? How should you start?
do you brew? And that would be another thing we could do. We could do get-togethers where we just go ahead and we brew beer. You show us what you're doing so we can learn something, because it's definitely something that I've been looking at for a long time now. So
All right, so now everybody knows what Shade Tree Chefs is.
for sure, there's one thing we didn't talk about, and that's the future. We talked about smoking and all the topics already, but I think that we should try talking to actual chefs and actual professionals out there.
Right,
I don't
definitely.
Know, I don't know about you.
I think
but-
we might have mentioned that, but very briefly. But yes, to find a local chef, maybe find out their thoughts on maybe flavor profiles or pairings.
Or maybe even talk to somebody who's in school for that skill as well. We could say, hey, maybe go to a local college, community college, MATC or something like that, and talk to a student or talk to one of the instructors and find out what they're teaching. And maybe we can pick up some skills or tips or tricks or just get some tidbit of information that we didn't already have, so we can make our backyard time that much more
Enjoyable.
Yes,
Exactly.
I couldn't think of the word, but yeah, as Matt said, this is going to be Shade Tree Chefs. Say it 10 times fast.
Shade Tree Chef.
Shade Tree Chefs. So,
I think I was a little quicker, but
and that's okay. We'll work on that. I'll work on that. Yeah. All right. He's Matt. I'm Jamie. Thanks for listening.
he's Jamie. I'm Matt. Till next time.
Till next time.